It's starting to look promising. To convert from a single carb to dual. I do have another intake manifold. I realized the fuel pump I have is only a single, and I do have a spare dual pump. And the air box, I wasn't sure if that was going to fit, but single and dual, same size. So that's all going to fit. The only thing left is, before I go any further, I'm going to actually physically fit this on, make sure everything is 100% correct. Goes this way. What I don't know about is this crossover, because I haven't seen that on the other machines. Not that I think it's a big deal. I am just curious about it. And then if this fits right and there's enough of a gap to accept this plate, which I'll see, I suspect there will be, then I just have to order a new throttle cable, which I was going to order a new one for this guy anyways. So I'll just order a dual and choke cable, a dual. Now I know I can get singles. I don't know if I can get, well, I'll find out if I can get a dual. If I can, great. If I can't, I'm just going to run 2 single chokes, one for each cylinder. So this is kind of neat. It looks like I can upgrade to a dual carb. It might be a little crazy. The engine really doesn't need to go to a dual, but I'm going to do it because I can. A couple other things I'm going to do. I'm not going to replace the high-low switches. Like, yeah, I still might be able to get them somewhere if I cry and beg. But I'm going to keep the spacers that I have in here. What I'm going to do is the on-off for the headlights, I'm going to just replace this switch to an on-off-on. So up will be high beam, down will be low beam. That eliminates the high-low up here. And then I like the idea of not having any more junk running down the steering. And then off is good enough, but I might hide a second temporary, like a push button kill, somewhere under the hood, in case the switch ever decides to go wonky. I have another way of shutting it off without zapping myself. What else am I going to do? So that's an easy one. Just change out that switch. And if I can still get an electric starter, then I might even just order myself another key. You know, I think this one, no, this is an old key. I might order another key, put this one into that liquefier that I got, because that key was getting a little bit wonky. And I will wire in a starter on this thing. Another thing I'm going to do is, this is the kill. This is what actually shuts the engine off. I don't know if that's, let's see. Yeah, this wire here is what shuts the engine off. Goes straight to the key. And I did the same thing with the other one, is I just ran it straight to the CDI, but it's meant to go to get routed to this this block here. So I think I'm going to, you can actually see, I don't know why they do it, but I guess people just got tired of cleaning those connections, so they just cut the wire and go direct. Little A little bit weird, but whatever. I'll put it back to the way it should be. I think that's it for now. Decided I wanted to recheck the compression on the cylinders, just because. So this cylinder, I honed the walls. I put a new piston, new rings. It's at 122 psi. The one that's untouched is at 130 even. I don't like that this one's lower, but that's not gonna slow me down here. The one thing I just realized I'm gonna run into is this bracket goes through that single port. So if this is gonna work, I'm going to have to cut this bracket off completely, which actually solves a problem with the new intake. So I'm going to keep going. I still don't know if that dual intake is going to work. So we're going to, I'm going to pull this cover too. Test fit it, see if it works. If it does work, I'm not going to cut the bracket right away. I'm going to wire tie it off to the side and just make sure I can get this engine running and dialed in. And if I can get it dialed in, I'm just going to zip this bracket right across. I'm going to save the bottom piece in case I decide to put it back to the way it was. I can just weld it back on. But that's where I'm at. So the new manifold, there are some differences for sure. Nothing major. The airbox, now I understand why this airbox has two straps, but the housing has a slot in the middle because the new carburetor is going to be right in the way of the strap. So I don't have to modify the housing or anything like that. The intake is a little bit different. The opening is bigger. I'm not sure how that's going to affect anything, but I'm going to go ahead and do this regardless. What am I looking at here? Oh, okay. So if you look at the outline of this intake, look at the opening here. A good chunk of that opening is closed off by this intake. So this one opens up more of it, quite a bit more. So that's interesting. Anyway, that's all going to fit. The old fuel pump, actually the new fuel pump is going to mount to the bottom of the intake like that. So this one I'm just going to take out. So I've got clearance, no issues there. So far so good. Yeah, so far so good. The intake a little closer, trying to figure out this hose, and at first glance I couldn't see it any kind of port, but I see it in between the rubber and the casting on the top side here. And yeah, I can see it there now. I wonder if that wasn't just their little experiment in trying to equalize fuel, maybe? Not sure. I'm just going to run a wire between, make sure it's clear, and leave it as is. I'm not even going to take these off because they're already sealed. I don't want to compromise any of that. Clean up the rubber and see what happens. Second guessing what I'm doing here. So, do I go ahead and order the parts now, or do I try and make this thing run with a different fuel pump, different carb setup? Can this engine take the extra fuel? I think it can. Just starting to question like what I'm doing. Worst case, I'm in for a few dollars in parts. Yeah, I'm just gonna go for it. I'm like 99% confident what I'm doing here is gonna work, and it's gonna work right. If I'm wrong, then I have some new parts sitting on the shelf. I guess that's not so bad. The other thing it occurred to me, I never actually checked to see if this clutch is working, because I never put a belt on this machine. I do have another clutch, if that's the case. I mean, that's not a big deal. I can make this one work. Worst case, it's just stuck. So I'm not worried about that. Yeah, I did second guess though a little bit. Should I? Shouldn't I? I think so. Nothing ventured, nothing gained. So go ahead, order the parts, and if I can get that starter, I'll even get the starter for it. Worst case, I still got that other liquefier, and if I can't use the starter here, I'll bring that other one in and I'll make that one electric start, because it's up for sale, but I don't see that thing selling this season. So I think I'm just going to keep going forward. Wash some of these parts down, get all the grease off, and I used to use Varsol, but actually growing up on the farm, my dad made me use gasoline to wash everything. And then I moved away, and I started using Varsol. I have a bigger tank all set up to do that. And then, I don't know, industry changed, and collectively we all just started using soap and water. And I actually prefer that now. It seems to be as efficient, and I'm sure it's much better on my skin. I ended up with a couple bottles of laundry detergent that I couldn't use on my machine, my washing machine. And it's not the greatest. My preference would be dish soap, but I'm finally at the end. I've used up the last bottle of that. And to warm everything up, to warm water, I got an old frying pan. And I just bring water from the house, bring it out here, preheat it. The detergent, yeah, I'm not actually done. I have a whole other, I have whatever's left in here, but it doesn't really want to mix with the water. It's kind of weird, but so anyways, that's what I'm using now, and I like it. It does a nice job. Gets all the grease off, and I'll eventually get more under the hood. So the next step, I ordered the parts I need. I'm just going for it all the way. So this is going to come off the fuel pump. I had wanted to pull the motor and do a better cleaning in the belly, but I don't know if I'm ever going to be able to get a electric starter for it. And if I can't do that, then I don't want to pull the engine. So I'm going to go ahead, take the other carb out, pull all the cables out, pull the fuel pump. I still need to do something about the primary clutch. I don't know if it's working or not, but I'll address that. Not too concerned about it. And then I'll probably just kind of use whatever I got left here and wash down what I can as the engine sits. Clean it up nice. I don't know how far I'm going to go with this. Maybe I'll end up stripping everything and doing it all over again. That's possible. I'm in the process of ordering an air sandblaster gun, gravity feed gun, and I'm going to hit this hood for a second time. This time I'm going to strip everything. Well, no, not everything. I'm going to sandblast all the areas I can't hit with power tools. Get the paint off and do a proper paint job. Inside, same thing. All my repair areas, I'm going to clean them up. Give the underside a quick shot of new paint. Clean this up. I think I'll just clean this. I'm not going to try and paint it or anything. And I think that's it. I did not order another switch. Some of these I think I'm going to clean and respray, like both sides. My little exhaust flappers I might rework a little bit because it's not that smooth. I threw it together pretty quick. Probably respray and clear coat both. Body is gonna stay. I may touch up some areas, but the paint held up in the last 4 going on 5 years. Maybe shine this up again and see what it looks like. And if I want to keep going after that, I'll keep going. I don't know what to do with the tank. I'm trying to make it black. Don't want to paint it. It's black plastic, but it keeps fading to this white. And I'm just not sure what to do here. So I'll look into it a little more. I did get the gas gauge shined up a little bit. I was going to replace it. They're not very expensive. But this one works perfectly. It works. Do that again. Works perfectly. It's just that the plastic was fogged up. So I can see it now. I don't know if I want to spend. It's only like, well, the parts are cheap enough. It's the shipping that kills. So I'll see if I can get a little better shine. Thing is, it's the underside of this too that's fogged up and could use a polish, and you really can't. To try and pop that lens, it'd probably end up breaking. So that's where I'm at so far. And then of course the deck could get washed up and polished. It was a mirror finish at one point. I'll probably just go over the whole bloody thing. The more I talk, it's like you start up front, you start working your way back. Finish one thing, well, you might as well do the next and the next and the next. But I'm not going to redo the body because that I did paint right. It is chipping where you keep your feet, but that's normal. So some touch-up work, yeah, but I'm not going to redo that. Definitely not. This piece is interesting. I have not seen this before. on any other machine. I tried to run a wire on each side and it is plugged solid. So not sure if this was just like a one-off 1 year experiment or what. I didn't want to mess with the tube because it is rock hard, but I guess I'll pull the tube and clear the passages. If anybody out there knows, this is for a John Deere liquefier. I'm going to keep this as a separate video. So if anyone out there knows why they did this, I'd love to, did it work? Was it effective? I would love to know. I have my answer. This end got pinched off. So again, was that done at the factory or at the dealer? Like, this didn't work? As I go, I'm kind of forgetting to hit record, but the vacuum line, that was a little bit hard. I don't know if the fuel pump that I just put on is any good. I don't even know how to test them. And as I put this all together, I should have changed these lines. Oh, I can get them off. So I'll change the lines. Or should I change the lines? Yeah, maybe I'll leave them on and just... No, screw it. Change them. So the intake fits nicely. I just got to bolt that down. Remove these straps. Take one of each. And I have a slot in the middle. So instead of dual strap, it'll be a single. For the air box, I think by tomorrow, yeah, I'm getting tired. So by tomorrow night, I can at least prime the carbs and see if it'll run on the carbs. And maybe even see if that fuel pump is working. I'm getting really close to doing a fire up on this thing. Intake's in, tightened down. I still got to remove the old carb. Strap this off to the side, but I'm almost ready to drop some carbs in it. And I had 2 sets of carbs. And try as I might, I cannot really find the difference. They're both Mikuni 34 millimeter. One's a dash 80, one's a dash 122. And I couldn't, there's really no difference between these carburetors other than the 122 has a slightly longer intake and a second overflow, but I can't find anything online. The 80s were already super clean, so I'm going with those. I pulled the bowl on the one. It was pretty decent. The other one was already starting to corrode, so that's the only reason I'm choosing the 2 I'm choosing. And then hopefully I can do a test fire tonight. But I'm going to do this in 2 things I'm going to do. I'm just going to dump the carbs on, install the carbs, fill each bowl, run it off the bowl only. But I am going to put fuel in the tank, hook up the fuel pump. I'm just going to run these 2 lines. I'll put new hoses and run them to a bottle. So if or when it does fire up, it's going to tell me 2 things. Well, are the carbs going to work? And if it does run, it'll tell me if the fuel pump's actually pumping. before I hook it all up. Too funny. So I sold a sled. Guy gave me a deposit. But I said, you know, we kind of got to put a time limit on this. He's texting me now. It's 9:30. It's my phone telling me 9:30. 9 o'clock, minus 31 outside. And he wants, he's asking me if 6:30 tomorrow morning is too early. Like, yeah, it's too early. It's not even light outside. Like, geez, what are you, some of these guys thinking? Like, it's minus 30 outside. I told him I'm not even gonna pretend to try and help load this thing. Just no. Normally I would, but no. Why are you in such a big hurry? Anyway, trying to work on my own stuff and yeah, I don't know what some of them are thinking. And I got another guy for another machine that had the same idea. His courier is supposed to come tomorrow, so that's going to be interesting. I'm going to record all of that. Well, I guess I'm ready to pull on this thing. Oh, I want to at least get something on here. Okay. Oh, and I need to do something here in case that starts puking oil, so let's hold on, or fuel. Okay, so the output of the fuel pump. Boy, this took a bit to muck around with, but I got it now. Just so I don't have fuel spitting everywhere, because I'm assuming that's going to work. I tried different things. Don't need that anymore. Okay, so I'm at the moment of truth here. If it fires and runs, I want to keep it running long enough to see fuel. I don't need a steady stream, I just need to know if fuel gets wet on these two lines. I've got one choke on one carburetor right here. I have nothing, it's wide open on the other carb. This is just to see if it's going to run. And by God's grace, I have never had to use this thing. And I don't know how old it is, but it's still in the green. I'm just going to keep it handy. I'm going to keep it really handy. And that's it. I'll put the one choke on. I have no throttle per se. Yikes. I'm putting myself in a corner here too. Man, I don't like that. Trip hazards. Okay. Sort of have an escape path. Nothing should go wrong, but I don't know, this is something different. Guess let's go. Hope we're good there. Keys on. See what happens. Nada. So next step, I did fill the carbs. They do have fuel. Shouldn't have to open the throttle bodies. So what's happening? I guess it's possible I don't have spark, but I think the next thing is to just drop some fuel down. I'll put you on pause. Try it again. Nothing. It is drawing some fuel, at least. Oh, what's going on here? I did not pay attention to that at all. So we definitely got fuel. Okay. What's happening? So good thing is it was still trying to fire, so there is some fuel drawing in. And I got some fuel at the pump. Kind of spilled everywhere. Which lines are wet? That one's wet. Come on. Yeah, move some fuel. So the lines are wet. Of course, these carbs are not set at all. But yeah, I got fuel pumping. Oh, what's going on here? So I'm going to shut the fuel from the tank off. I think I can't get a really good assessment until I get that other choke cable installed, set up the carbs, but it does seem to be drawing fuel, so that's a good thing. Of course, with everything loose and flopping around, hard to say what's going on. I really wish I could have had it drawing a little bit better. I'll maybe hit this one more time. It's so hard to focus on what's going on in those few seconds when it's running. There's so many things I want to look at, and at the same time keep my mind on the fire extinguisher. So I dropped some more fuel in. This happened before with fresh carbs. The first go around it fired, but it didn't want to stay running. So this time, let's see. I shut the main fuel off. This is just running from the carburetors now. So let's try one more time, and I think I'm done for tonight. Keys on. Wow, I'm deaf. Okay, so it is definitely running through the carburetors. I was able to get some response on the throttle. Boy, that's loud. So this works. Seems like it's running a whole lot hotter. That's a success. So I'm going to wait for the throttle cable, the choke cable, pull them carbs, dial them in. It's going to work. It is for sure going to work. Clean up some of the wiring. And I'm going to have to modify this plate, because originally it was part of the intake, so I will have to change that up. Not change it out, but I'm going to have to do some surgery on it. I think that's it. Dang, I'm really happy. So you can go from a single to a dual without much of an issue there. That's nice. I still don't know. I didn't pay attention. I'm going to have to look at the video and see if this clutch moved at all. I don't think it did. I think it's stuck. So it might need some cleaning. Hopefully I don't have to pull it. But yeah, check the video, see what if anything it shows. I am happy. This is good. Carbs are producing fuel. Too much fuel. Jeez, I wonder if that's going to show up, but I was seeing flames out of those pipes. I think that's it. It's a success. I'm going to leave it here.